and I will record it as normal as well. Right, welcome to the webinar. A couple of quick house rules. If you can leave webcams on, that'd be fantastic. It means I can see everybody. And also I've got the chat open. So throughout the webinar, if there's any time you've got a question you want to ask, then just pop it in the chat. I will also have a Q&A at the end. So if there's anything that's a longer question that you think will be better for the end, then just leave it till then. Just not moving. There we go. I've also done a PDF that I'll send out to you at the end of the workshop. It's called the Remarkable 7-Figure Growth Workshop Reloaded. It's got a copy of all the slides are in there. There's also other content I've included in there, and the 3 exercises that I'll talk about throughout the workshop today, as we get to those, they're included in the PDF as well. So when you get that later on today, following the webinar, I'll email it out to everybody. Have a look through and definitely do those 3 exercises as well, but they're in there, so you don't have to take too many notes in this. It means you can focus on being engaged. So the average B2B business takes 4 years to double their revenue. And the majority of them struggle to do that over 5 years. I think the government's criteria for identifying a scale-up business or a high-growth business is actually only 20% growth per year. But I also want to think about the other side of the coin today, and that's because many remarkable businesses out there have the ability to double their revenue every 12 months. So the question I want to really dig into today is why. Imagine what your life would be like if you could grow your business by doubling revenue every 12 months. What difference would that make to your work life, to your personal life, and what type of life would you be able to live? I think the good news for all of us is that there's a proven formula to achieve that, and that's what we're going to dig into today. A little bit about me before we get started. My name's Richard Moore, founder and CEO of Ignite Growth. I'm also the author of Remarkable Business Growth, the first of my Go Be Remarkable series of books, which is due out next March. I've spent the past 30 years working exclusively with B2B clients and owning and running my own businesses. I've run 8 businesses over that period, and I've taken 2 of those past 7 figures and beyond that. So I've worked with multiple clients as well to help them achieve the same thing, get past £1 million. 2 of my clients, one of them exited for 28 million after I'd worked with him, and another one was acquired for 8 million. So what we're going to talk about today is really based on what I've done in my own businesses, but also what I've done to help other business owners to build their businesses. And over the past 7 years, I've put a lot of what I've learned into what I call the steps growth method. I've also run live workshops for Barclays Business Bank, Business Lincolnshire, eFactor, Federation of Small Businesses, and my own businesses. As you can see here, I'm also a keen part runner. There's my book, and the other thing I've done is just past 1,000 days meditating for 10 minutes every day. So I've got a bit of a roll going on my meditation. But enough about here. The 3 key ideas that I want to talk through today is how we break through to growing towards £1 million. And the first thing we're going to look at is having a clear, measurable strategy. And that's vital, really, because it'll drive everything else that we do. Then we're going to look at the importance of processes. We're going to look at how to drive predictable outcomes and growth. And this aligns with 3 of the principles at the heart of my steps growth method. And finally, we're going to look at the systems that you need to put in place to align and measure everything as you grow. So the first thing I want to look at is why 7 figures? Why is 7 figures such an important milestone for a business? After all, it's something that I hear when I speak to clients on a day-to-day basis. They all seem to feel that all their problems are going to suddenly disappear when they get to £1 million. And I think there's 2 factors at play here. The first of those is how businesses actually grow. And the second of them is why we set our business up in the first place. You see, business growth is very predictable. It goes through set stages as businesses grow. There's always that initial 6 to 12 months, which is this setup and startup phase here, really getting through to that threshold of 85k turnover. And it's always exciting. Then you haven't got many clients, you're proving your concept, you've got lots of energy, you've got lots of time. It's probably a small team of 1 or 2 of you. So you've got time to work on every area of your business. Then every business organically gets past that stage and goes into the wasteland. So the wasteland is really the area where you're organically growing. So you've got past that threshold. You're now recruiting a bigger team. You're adding more customers into the mix. You've probably now got 3 or 5 people to worry about. That means you've got to increase revenues, and they are growing slowly over the years. And this is where we're really getting established, really to around this 500k point. People are going through this, and this can take 4 to 5 years for a lot of businesses to organically grow to this level. And then we start working towards this £1 million. Now, there's a magical thing happens here, really, because this is when lifestyle businesses, this is when you have a nice lifestyle business. It's a real fun time to be in business. And I think it's important because you're getting more structure to your business when you get here. You've got the processes in place. You should be thinking more strategically about your business. You usually have a team of a high-performing team of around 10 or 12 people around you. That's suddenly freeing you as the business owner more time again to work on the high-value strategic work on the business, rather than being dragged into the low-value delivery work or a lot of the day-to-day running of the business. You've got that 10 to 12 people who are really taking a lot of that off you and probably doing it better than you, if we're honest. This tends to result in you having a lot of clarity, more time with the family again. And I think a lot of business owners are happy when they get to that stage. If you can get to this 7 figures and get in here, most business owners, if they're honest, don't want to drive to be in a huge scale up business or a huge performance business. They're quite happy at that point. However, they also get itchy feet. I think we're all, when we're entrepreneurs, we're going to get itchy feet at some stage. Everything's going really nice when we get to here. So then we'll start pushing on again towards becoming a performance business. And that means we've got to go through another struggle phase here, which I've called the wilds, which is that getting up towards 8 figures, getting up towards an 8-figure turnover. Everything's changing there, though, because you've got compliance issues. You're building an even bigger team. You're probably looking to get to around 30 or 40 people in your team by the time you get to this. You're building a board of directors out. All of the problems are very different to the problems you faced in the wasteland stage. But again, if you can get through there, you get to this point where you've built yourself a big performance business. So I think these are the stages, and they're fairly predictable, these 5 stages. But most, I would say nearly everybody actually I speak to is stuck around here. 70% of the business owners get stuck around 350, 500,000. They've grown so far and they want to know what to do to get to that next stage, get to that nirvana of being a lifestyle business. I think a lot of them have very fluctuating income streams, so they lack money sometimes, they have more than enough money other times, they lack time, they seem to be delivering still, doing a lot of the work themselves. And I know, Johnny, you've talked about this, you know, it's one of your main challenges you're facing at the moment, is how do I keep bringing clients in and building the business and delivering, because you're doing all the work, you know. So there's going to come a stage where you're going to have to recruit, but then it's finding the high quality people. And I think the thing I see in most business owners when I'm talking to them is this lack of clarity. And I think lack of clarity on what's working, what isn't working, what they need to do next, their next steps is a key thing that everybody goes through. You know, we've all been through it, and it's something that's not unique to you. We all go through that. But again, what we're going to talk about today is putting strategy, process and systems in place that will give you that clarity. So what we want to do is get through this stage here and then move on through into the lifestyle business. So can I just ask you in the chat, first bit of interaction for you, whereabouts do you feel you are in this sort of process of building your business? If both of you can let me know. About 30% from the left, so you're in about here. Yeah. Are you judging that on revenue or on the stress you're feeling?
I was thinking about revenue. It's probably both. Yeah, I'm just looking for the chat.
Have you got the chat button?
Yeah, just looking for it now.
Sometimes it opens in the background, Richard.
Okay, it's oh, got it here. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yes, yes, definitely in the wasteland, I think.
In the wasteland.
Yeah.
As I say, it's very normal and everybody goes through this. So that's what we're going to start addressing today. Lovely. Thanks, Richard. Yeah.
Yep.
So as I say, when talking to clients, I can always guarantee that it's going to be one of these three areas that they're struggling with, or combination of all three. So it's going to be a lack of strategy, a lack of process, or a lack of systems to predictably grow and scale the business. And that's why I think getting to 7 figures is so important, because you have to get these things right to get there. And if you can get to 350, you can only really get to the million, to the 7-figure mark, by having these in place. Otherwise, as I say, you're just going to burn yourself out and never get there. You're going to become your own blocker, which is what a lot of us feel like at times. We're trying to do everything in our business and not making any forward progress. So again, having an effective plan or strategy that you're executing on a daily basis is really important. Having robust processes that allow you to predictably grow and allow you to say, we do the same thing this way every time we do it. Again, that's the core of processes, is that they're very predictable, and nothing should be variant. There should be no variance in there, really. That's what process and procedures give you. And then that system of technology and tools to pull it all together at the end is really key to allowing you to grow your businesses. I also talked about the founder principle, which is something I see is the reason that people actually set their business up in the first place, can be something that really holds them back. And I think the 4 reasons that most people set up their businesses are that they, number one, they spot a gap in the market. So it's something that they think, there's a gap there, I can fill that gap. Secondly, they identify a better way to do something. They probably have seen the market has been doing it this way for so long, but there's actually a better way to do it. And that's often what we would call as a disruptor in a market. Or they have, thirdly, expertise and skills, maybe built up working for somebody else or doing this for somebody else, and then deciding, I'm going to do this for myself. And then the 4th one is they've been part of a family business and they've sort of inherited the business and they're now the owner of the business. So I'd say out of those 4, can you, again, in chat, can you just let me know which one of those you think you are? You spotted a gap in the market, identified a better way to do something, you had expertise and skills, so you set a business up doing it, or you were part of a family business. Just type 1, 2, 3, or 4 in chat. You need prior expertise. Combination of, I knew you'd be a combination of something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't just choose one. Can't just choose one.
So your expertise, Johnny, was in software development, wasn't it? And then you went into cybersecurity, or was it in cybersecurity and then you went into software development?
It was, I'm in cyber now. It was probably a bit of both, really. And then went into cyber independently.
But you also spotted a bit of a gap in the market, seeing all these people developing apps and software, didn't you? And thinking that they're not keeping them secure. Yeah,
and just the sort of stuffy corporate world having a certain approach, which was starting to just lose its shine a bit, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I think combination of the both, and a lot of people do have a combination, but I'd say the most common reason is number 3, that people have skills already and set up a business. But I think the downside of that is that you constantly want to do the work yourself because that's what you were good at. So actually cutting away from doing that work. And Richard, you're the same with your technical writing, aren't you?
Indeed, yes. Yeah,
you'd rather do it yourself.
Yeah, I think it was the reason I put combination is that there was a gap in the market because of an absence of skills I had.
Yeah.
So therefore, I was kind of like the solution to that problem.
Yeah. And you knew marketers couldn't speak to engineers about technical things, didn't you?
That's correct. Yeah, you've got lots of marketing companies that are representing high-tech companies, and they are trying to get their messages in front of a high-tech audience. But if the marketing company isn't technical themselves, they're actually a weak link in that chain.
Yeah.
They don't understand what their clients do. They don't understand what their clients' customers want.
No, that's right. No, that's your USP, definitely. Since I've known you, I think your
Mm.
technical writing is so good, and your knowledge of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So again, that's the challenges we have to growth. And like I say, number 3 is the most common one that I would come up against, because it's really hard to get that owner to release. He won't release what he does on a day-to-day basis. He it's the result of that is that you end up delivering all the time and not really growing your business. So again, part of that is documenting what you do. Part of it's turning it into a process. Some bits will always rely on your core skills. And I think, Johnny, when we spoke the other day, you were saying, I want to keep the more technical consultation part of what you do, but actually you want to systemize a lot of the other bits of what you do, the early analysis and things like that. And that's a great start, because it means that part of your business can be very productized. Yet your skills, the real value that you bring to any project is still that consultation bit and the more advanced work.
Yeah.
So again, we don't want to become a roadblock. Right, so how do we ensure that we develop the right strategy, process and systems? Well, the key that I developed over the last 7 years working on my own businesses and with clients was having sort of a systematic approach to what we do. So it was based around strategy, around traffic, generating the right type of traffic and attracting the right type of traffic, engagement. So then how do we convert that traffic into leads in our CRM? The engagement then moves on through the sales process. So me and you spoke the other day, Johnny, about having a more structured pipeline of a sales process. So we know people are moving along that. And that's all to do with engagement, really, how effective we are as a business at engaging with people and moving them along their journey until they become a customer. Then when they become a customer, it isn't all over. Actually, the promoters phase is probably one of the key phases for most of my clients, is that they start to see that they've got plenty of value in their business. They're just not tapping into it. And that's their existing database, their existing customer base. And then at the heart of all of that, what that's spinning around is having technology and systems that pull all of that together. So again, that steps process was developed really around these 3 elements, being processes and then strategy and system at either end. And that's really, when this works and you get that spinning properly, and it's a lot of hard work. Initially, it's 3 months of strategy work with a client and then working on those other elements. But when it gets working, I've seen a lot of clients who do get to that perfect point of being able to double revenue every 12 months, if that's what they want to do. Okay. So let's get started with strategy then. The big idea behind strategy is that in every remarkable business, they allow their strategy to drive their tactical execution on a daily basis, and not the other way around, not the tactics driving their strategy. And I think that clarity that we talked about earlier about lacking with a lot of business owners who aren't clear on what's working and what isn't, is because they're not looking at their business through a strategic lens. They haven't mapped out exactly what they need to be doing on a daily basis and executing on a daily basis. So they end up not replacing low value tactical work with high value strategic work. Now, you've got to know what you're focusing on and why you're focusing on it and whether you're on track or not. And I always equate it to going on a car journey. I think when I go on a long car journey, especially somewhere you've not been before, a new destination, you never just jump in the car and hope to get there. You plan out a route, you prepare the vehicle for the trip, fill it with fuel, put the destination in the sat nav, or if you're like me, a bit old school, you'll get a map book out still. and then you head off for your destination. So planning out a structured growth strategy really is the same as that. It's going to give you clarity on where you're going. That's your revenue goals. Those are my goals. This is what I want to achieve revenue wise. How are you going to get there? So what are the tactics we need to focus on to get there? And total clarity for you and your team on whether you're on track or off track. So let me know in the chat, if you can, where you are on strategic thinking in your business. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 means I've got no strategy at all in my business. 10 means I've got a clear strategy that I'm communicating on a daily basis. Five, very good, Johnny. 3, Richard, we need to work more on it. Yeah.
I admit that.
It's very common, and that probably goes back because you're doing the do every day, aren't you, Rich? So
I am. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, it is. It's as I say, it's something that I think nearly all of us go through. So it's not, as I say, you're not again alone on that, but starting to take time. And I know you take Fridays out to think more strategically about the business, and you do, but again, mapping out that strategy of where you want to be in the next 12 months and how we're going to get there, how many clients that involves, a lot of the exercises we'll go through today will help you start thinking about that more clearly. And in Digital Media Edge, as you know, DME, Rich, from when we met, I set my digital agency up back in 2015. And for the first few years, this is a turnover and profit graph based on what we achieved. First few years, we were very much stuck in that rut of growing organically. We seemed to be chasing every single job that was out there. There was no real sort of selectivity about the work we were doing. We were doing everything. There was myself and 2 other people. I think 1 person for most of that time in the first 2 years. And we constantly got to this 180, 220K mark. Weren't really moving much. And in January 2018 was when I started really sitting down and thinking strategically about where I wanted the business to go. And that really coincided with working with HubSpot. They sort of make you, as an agency with them, map out your sales plan. They make you predict how many clients you're going to get in the next few years, in the next year, the 12 months coming. They make you look at what your offerings are, what retainers you're going to have, what project work you're going to have, and you really map it out and think very strategically about the business. And the result of that work in 2018 was a total double, nearly a doubling. We went up to 585. I think was 575, jumped from 283 in 2017 to 575 in 2018. And that was when we took Rachel on, as you know, Richard. We built the team out to 6 people. I also had been working with a client that had sold his business here. The client I was saying about for 28 million, he sold his business to Iris Software. He came as an investor. And I think all of this was really down to that work I'd done in the January of 2017 going into 2018. That's just really my best example that I can think of how I've seen strategy totally change the direction of a business. And then we went into sort of everything slowed down a bit here, and then we went into COVID. But that 2017 to 2018 year really taught me the lesson of how important strategic thinking was to my business, because nothing was left to chance. By the end of that year, I knew everything we had to do every month and who I needed on the team to do it. So the first exercise I want you to do, and again, I'll send you the PDF out with this in the back, is to sit down and write out these 10 numbers. So your revenue goal for the next 12 months, where you want to be in 12 months' time. And be really specific about how many pounds and pence this is going to be. So where are we now? And this is where I'd like to be in 12 months' time. So have a specific revenue goal. Then work out your average order value. So looking through your last 10, 15, 20 orders, what's the average value? Just divide that amount by the number of orders it was and get yourself some sort of average figure. Because when you get that in place, that's going to let you know how many orders you need to hit that revenue goal. You know, it's quite a straightforward reverse engineering of what this is where I want to be. This is how many orders I need to achieve. And this is the average order value we need to be hitting. How long's the sales cycle? So again, you've got to be realistic with your own business. So if you know you've got a 3-month sales cycle from talking to someone to actually landing them as a client or revenue in the bank, then you've got to take that into account when you're doing your forecasts. Lead conversion rate, that's important. What percentage are you converting at your leads at the moment? So are you converting 1 in 4, 1 in 5? I mean, Richard, I know because so many people approach you and know you convert very highly. Yeah. So again, it all depends your lead sources. I mean, if you're just relying on referral, then you should be converting highly. But again, to get this lead machine in place, we need to know an accurate figure of what we're converting at from every lead that comes in contact with our business. That will give you the number of leads we then need to hit or our required orders. You can also take into account your website traffic conversion rate. So is your website actually converting at a minimum of 2% of all the traffic that comes to the website into a lead in the CRM? And current level of website visitors, again, if you've got Google Analytics or you're on HubSpot, you'll have a really accurate idea of this is how many customers are coming through our website at the moment, and this is where I need it to be to hit our goals. Then you can also look at cost of customer acquisition. So how much does it cost you to acquire each of your customers? And I think customer lifetime value as well is a really important one that I get most of my clients to really take seriously, because that'll tell you how much somebody spends with you over their lifetime. So do they stay with you a year and spend once with you, or do they spend 3 or 4 times with you over 3 or 4 years? So again, that's important because not every customer's created equal, as we know. Some will spend a lot more money with us, others will just stay at a certain level and only spend so much. So again, those are the 10 figures I'd like you to get. It's just called knowing your numbers, but if you can get those 10 figures clearly in a dashboard somewhere, in a report, or laid out in your strategy, it'll really focus your mind on achieving them. Okay, before I move on to processes, let me quickly mention something for anybody who's interested. If you want to put a lot of the ideas that we talk about in this workshop to work, plan out a roadmap to get these principles right for your business. And at the end of this session, I'm going to give you the opportunity to express your interest in a free 1-hour personalized growth strategy call with me. I'll give you more details on that later after we've finished the next 2 sessions. So let's talk a bit now about processes. Why is the process so critical, and why is having processes so critical in our businesses? Well, the big idea with processes is that they're the machine at the heart of your remarkable business growth. I think they ensure that growth is both predictable and measurable. Back to the car analogy, when I talk about strategy, I talked about planning our route out and how we're going to get there. Well, I think process is still part of the car. It's that engine. It's that engine that's driving growth in most businesses. If they've got good processes and procedures, then the business will grow. It's vital to develop processes in 4 key areas, I think. When you're looking at your business initially, you need to really have operating step-by-step process and operating procedures for lead generation, customer acquisition, operational delivery, and client engagement, how we engage with our client base and customers post-sale. I think there's a lot of other processes that develop over time, but those 4 areas are where you can get that engine room working for your business. So again, back to the old steps methodology we developed. That's the 3 elements in here that are very process driven. These are all the elements that I know we can process out with a business, with a client, and get this engine room working really for the business as it grows. Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking of something else then. So a quick question. Do you think you need more leads in your business to grow revenue? Yes. Depends on how warm they are, Johnny. That's very good. 'Cause
Not
this
all
is a
leads are
great
created equal,
example.
right?
Not all leads are equal, no. But I also, one of the key processes, I think, in lead generation is that focus on getting your conversion processes right. So the most common thing I hear from clients is that we just need more leads, Richard. If you can just give me more leads, everything else will work, I'll grow. And I think this is one of the core processes, that lead generation machine, that they have to get right. But they seem to always do it the other way around. They focus all the time on generating more leads or more traffic and trying to convert that in, rather than looking at the key elements of conversion first. And I always equate this to a leaky bucket. You're pouring more and more money and more traffic into a bucket that isn't converting, then it's just a waste of money. So I often say to clients, well, let's have a look at what traffic you are generating, and then let's have a look at your conversion rate, as I say, of website traffic into leads in the CRM. Now, most clients are about 0.1%, if that's, they convert hardly any of the traffic to their website into leads in the CRM. And we've been through this, Richard, haven't we, with your website? We've built it into more of a lead machine. We've made engaging content the heart of it. We've answered visitors' questions. We've got very clearly in our mind who's coming to the site and what questions they're asking. And we've really got the engagement and that conversion level on the website far better now. The next thing to think about is your sales process. So each of those stages in your pipeline, how's that converting? So again, if you get those two processes right in most businesses, the way that the website converts traffic, so all the traffic coming through the website from social media posts, from blog posts, from videos that are posted out there, all the different ways you can generate traffic, but you know it's converting at 2%, then you've got a very accurate figure of this is how many website visitors I need to get to my core level of leads that I need to generate. And same with the sales process. If you can get that from 1 in 5, from 20% to 25%, that's only a 5% rise, but actually that means you need to produce only 4 leads for every 1 person that you get on as a client instead of 5 leads. So you can see why conversion really should be your initial focus, and then by all means add volume into that funnel. Once you know those people are converting, and that all your conversion points are converting as you would expect them to, then by all means add more volume to that. And I would always recommend that people look at using paid campaigns for that, or just increasing the volume but by increasing organic activity. But actually, when people have a highly converting funnel, they'll actually be able to work out the ROI very accurately on paid campaigns as well. So paid LinkedIn, paid Google ads, or just remarketing and retargeting to people who've already been on your website. So again, it's just a process I wanted to share with you because it's the key. It's a filter more than a funnel. It is, Richard. Yeah, you mean just filtering the quality of leads?
Absolutely, because I think that if your website is going to act as a filter and to qualify those leads, then you can have the volume in to start with. You can say, I want all leads in, because the website's going to do the filtering for me.
Yeah. And I think we worked hard on sending people to different landing pages as well on your site.
Yes, and it works. Yeah,
it does work. Yeah, because everything was nearly going to your homepage, wasn't it, when we first met?
Yes.
So that's just one of the processes that I always share with people, because I think once you get that in your mind, you can see how that engine's going to work then, and why it's so predictable. Another example I always talk about is a client I work with at Blue Castle Group down near Grantham in Lincolnshire. They're a recycling business that we worked with, and we were working with them actually through the pandemic. So it wasn't like we were working with them in an easy time, but they developed a new product, which was basically a way of recycling vinyl, which really hadn't been done before, where you could break down banners and break down pop-ups and things like that had been used by the print industry, the vinyl there, into its individual strands and recycle it. So it was a really new product that they were bringing to the market in the middle of a pandemic, as I say, and we worked with them from September 2020. We started working with them, and we initially had a 90-day project with them to put in place a process. So we started working on the sales process, making sure it was converting. We also put in place metrics. So we used what was called a LAPS: leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. So all the sales team were it was really transparent. Every week we'll be measuring you on this: how many leads are coming in, how many appointments you've made, how many presentations you've done, and how many sales. And then we mirrored that in HubSpot. So we set their system up on HubSpot, mirrored that in the pipeline, and then gave them the marketing and sales tools and the CRM, set all that up for the sales team just to start going after all the leads that came in. And then the strategic element was developing a strategy of identifying the sector. Obviously, the print industry was the core sector, and there were the large printers as well, and also the suppliers of the vinyl. We went direct to the market suppliers, and there were 5 or 6 big suppliers of this to the print industry, and they actually went out to their email lists because they loved this. They went to their email list, so we formed partnerships with them, and they emailed straight out to their client base. And then we put the system in, as I say, with HubSpot. In the first few, I think it was in the first 8 weeks, we generated 12 new leads, 6 new customers, and 21K, which was a good start. She was the lady who owns the business was over the moon with it. But I spoke to her last year, and she'd continued with the same process, the same system, everything that we'd set up, and that strategy of just going after the print industry, and it had generated a £485,000 net new revenue for the business in the last 12 months, just from that one approach that we'd really brought in for them. So again, just shows you the power of this and how it works. So again, for your own businesses, I recommend exercise 2, which is setting up some simple lapse report for yourself. So how many leads, and you can do this monthly, if it's just the two of you, if it's just a small business, then you can do this on a monthly basis. As businesses get larger, I encourage them, as they've got sales teams, to do this on a weekly basis, and obviously have Monday morning meetings looking at this and supporting their team to achieve this. So this can really be how many leads are generated, appointments booked, presentations made, and sales closed. So again, do it on a monthly basis. I always recommend you start monthly and then get shorter timescales as you develop this. But it's a very simple process of seeing if you're on track or off track. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does indeed.
Fabulous. And then the final part of the puzzle is systems. So the big idea with your systems is that it's got to be a connected system of technology. So tools, the software, the apps that you're using, as connected as possible. It's got to act as a single source of truth. So it's got to tell you all your engagement you're having with people, all your touch points, monitor all of that. It's got to be easy to use, so everybody in the business is using it, because again, every system's only as good as the data that's going into it. So if it's too difficult to use, people just won't do it. And then it's got to really be able to measure everything. I think a good system will always allow you to measure things, report back on them, run dashboards on them, so you can see what's working, what's not working, and what can be improved really easily. So I think the core of a good system, when you get it right, is that it'll allow you to make data-driven decisions rather than, and that'll replace your opinion, because we all have opinions as business owners. That's probably why we've set businesses up in the first place. But actually, when it comes down to black and white decisions being made on the data and the market telling you how good you are, it can really shift and be a game changer for most businesses, can that, when they get to that stage. A lot of work to set it up, as you know, Johnny, with systems, there are a lot of work to get right, but once you get it right, it can make a huge difference to your business. It can be, I think, the competitive advantage that a good, remarkable business will have over its competitors is how good its systems are.
If I may interject, Richard, one of the things that I have found is with many businesses, I'm thinking particularly some of the corporates I've worked for, or like other clients I've consulted for, is is the level of chaos that you don't see from the outside, but when you go inside and you realize just how chaotic things are, and the absence of systems often, and that behind a really strong kind of brand and marketing message, you can often find there's an absence of systems, which then, you know,
oh yeah, I totally agree.
problem.
And these are big businesses as well, some of these. I mean, there's a client I'm working with at the moment who's gone from 3 million to 24 million in 4 years, and they've no system at all. Nothing. It's literally Excel spreadsheets, and yeah, I mean, it is chaotic. You know, there's different people bringing different bits of software in without telling anybody else in the business, and it's just the sales team who've obviously driven this rise have got their own system they want to use, and they don't, you know. And it's as you see these businesses, you think there's going to come a point where this is all going to collapse around your ears, because you've no clarity on where things are working and what's happening at all. Even though they sort of kid themselves because they've grown so quickly, it'll always be like this. I said, you're riding a trend. You know, the industry you're in is anyone could grow in this current climate. You know, it's when things get tougher, or when you want to get from 24 million to 100 million, that not having a system is going to become a limiting factor. So
and it kind of runs off the egos of the leadership and the kind of stress and overwork of the foot soldiers, right? So
yeah, and the owner's got some good people in there. You know, he has recruited well. He's got, as he's grown, he's got the right people in. But I think his big, you know, the glaring thing was, you're not growing strategically, you're growing off a trend, and you know, you need to get a grip of that, and a system will really help him do that. And so yeah, so that's the core message behind a system. And I think Ryan Dice sums it up really well when he says that you can't optimize until you systemize. It's just physically impossible to optimize and know what's working, what isn't, what you can improve, and get that evolving business where you know everything's improving incrementally all the time. And I think the challenge is, though, because of the amount of software that's out there. I mean, just this is the Chief Martech report that they run every year on the number of pieces of software and business apps that are out there. And you can see in 2011, we had 150 to choose from. So it wasn't that hard to pick the ones and find the ones that connected. And you can see how it's grown over that 9-year period. So how many do you think there were in 2020?
I'm going to go for about 3,000.
Yeah, it's going to be in the thousands. Yeah.
3,000. Johnny, there's 8,000. 8,000 different pieces of software, apps, finance software. You think of Xero, you think of all the different pieces of software you could use in a business. And I think that just sums up why it's so difficult to build this system from the ground upwards. The majority of this is just, you get these Frankenstein systems where lots of people have brought different pieces of software into the business and none of it talks to each other. I think the research that HubSpot recently did showed that the average small, medium-sized business has 198 different pieces of software that it uses. 198, yeah. So from a cybersecurity point of view, it must be a nightmare.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's awful.
But even small businesses, you know, you think of your own businesses, and when I'm thinking of just a marketing funnel like that, and I break down what software we've got with a website to attract people. We've got a blog in there, we've got SEO tools that we're using, we've got social media tools, paid ads, you know, we've got multiple tools you can use for paid ads. You then got your convert stage of having the forms, having landing pages, having call to actions, having chat bots that you're running on your website. Then you've got email, marketing automation, CRM, lead scoring, and then analytics software and smart content. All of these bits are just the elements. There's 15 pieces of software there, but there's probably multiple pieces of software in each of those as well. So there's no escaping that it's critical to get this right for businesses. Even small businesses have to take it seriously nowadays. You can't just ignore it and hope it goes away. And I think that's the major change we're living through. And this was courtesy of Mr. Priestley, who shared this. And I just thought it was a great way of the change, those two types of business owners that are out there at the moment. And he talks about imagining this as a triathlon, and everybody sets off at the same time, but there's one guy who carries on running when everyone else gets on their bikes. Now, what happens here is that it doesn't matter how hard he runs, he can run harder and faster than he has ever done, but he's never going to get close to these people on the bike. They've embraced technology. He's carrying on as he used to do. And he's just thinking to himself, I'm working harder than I ever have, and I'm not getting any closer to my competitors. Where the guy on the bike, he's laughing his head off, just thinking, you know what, I'm using less effort, less energy than I ever have, and I'm going faster and further than I ever did. And this is the same in business. It's really clear in a triathlon when you've got to stop running and get on the bike. But in business, no one has really been sent this memo saying you must embrace technology. You must run your business like a tech business, like a media business, or a data business, because if you're not on the bike in the modern world and you're not embracing technology, then you've no hope of catching your competitors. You've no hope at all of doing that. So type in chat, two of you, are you on the bike yet or not? On bike or not on bike? You're getting a HubSpot bike though, aren't you, Johnny?
I am. That looks pretty likely.
Yeah, I think you need something to get started with. On the bike, but not pedaling yet. You're freewheeling, are you, Rich?
No, I think in the analogy here, I think we have embraced the high technology side of things. You've kind of we've embraced HubSpot. The website's all lined up. We've spoken about moving the website to HubSpot.
Yeah.
So I think we are clear on the advantages. We're at the start of that, the bike part, I think.
Yeah, and I think you're doing it well, because I mean, you did you embrace landing pages, you embrace, a lot of the work we did on the website was, totally different now to where you were a year ago, aren't you? So
yes, it's that, and slightly off topic, but I think also having prices on the website. It's something I wasn't comfortable about start doing, but since putting price on our website, we've had kind of more business coming in than ever before. I thought it would be. We
had a few battles about that, Richard. We had a few discussions.
Yeah, God, you won that one.
Well, the good thing was you tested it, didn't you? You tried it and you said, if it doesn't work, then we can go back. But I always thought, well, like you said earlier about pre-qualifying people, if someone knows your price,
yeah,
then it's one less hurdle to get over, and they're still talking to you. So
yeah, it has saved us a lot of time, because we don't even need to know our clients' budgets.
No,
it is what we charge for what we do, and we've got the results, we've got the proven background, the pedigree, we can do it. Yeah. So again, it kind of comes back to the website starting to act like a filter.
Yeah,
I want to deter time wasters.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you're a smaller business and you can be more selective, you need to do that, don't you? You don't want someone coming in with a £500 budget when you're clearly, everything says, well, we're not that, we're not that sort of person.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're paying for our expertise. We're specialists. We're expert in what we do, and this is what we cost.
Indeed, and I know that in your book, which we're all looking forward to, I know, having been a beta reader, that we do talk. You do talk about the specialization versus generalization. So yeah it's spot on. Yeah.
No, well, as I say, it stands to reason that you'd pay more money for an expert to do your work than you would for someone who's a bit of a jack of all trades, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, and definitely in your business as well, Johnny, I think that's a key where you've got to position yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's absent at the moment, and that's been a constant debate in my mind. So it's interesting to hear what kind of side of the debate you come down on, but I can definitely see the reasoning why.
Yeah, you don't want tire kickers, do you, Johnny?
No, time is our most precious commodity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. And then you can have the luxury as you grow and revenues are growing, you'll be able to take the right people on then and you know, it's, I think when you're an expert and really narrow your niche to what you're good at, it's, again, it helps processes, because, you know, these are the processes we've got to have in place to do it as we do it. But your positioning as well is, you know, this is what we're good at, this is who we do the work for, this is why we do it better than anyone else, you know, and I think that's really key in positioning. So back to the system anyway. Exercise 3 in the PDF I'll send you is going to be about auditing your tech, or where you are at the moment. So how easy is it to use? How connected is it? Is it acting as that single source of truth? And how accurate is it at analytics, measuring everything that's happening? So again, just go through your tech, get a spreadsheet out, write down all the pieces of software you're using at the moment, and just start asking yourself these questions. I always think a simple test of this is actually using exercise 2, the lapse, and seeing how easy it is for you to set up a lapse report for yourself. Because if you've got your tech right, you should easily be able to set a dashboard up with those 4 metrics that you need to see, you know, practically live. So if you can do that, then you know, have a look through that, and then use exercise 2 to see if you can easily set that report up for yourself. Okay, so I think in the brief time we've had together today, I've covered the key points I wanted to cover on growing to 7 figures. There's lots of background information in the PDF I'm going to email out to you anyway. I think the main point I want you to take away from today is that there has never been a better time to build a 7-figure business. The modern world we live in has really made it possible for anyone to do this. And it's the way I finished my book, actually, isn't it, Rich?
Yeah.
It isn't, you know, it's not guesswork anymore. It's very predictable. You've just got to get the right jigsaw pieces in place to do it. You've got to get that system working. You've got to get your processes in place and drive it all by a strategy that you're constantly revisiting year after year as you grow. And I think that the key skills we need as business owners is the ability to focus, the ability to do deep work, so to learn complicated things quite quickly and then action them at an elite level is something from the book Deep Work that I love. And that accountability as well is key to getting you there. So, okay, take that away. And what's your main takeaway from today? Can you just type in chat what your main takeaway's been from today? Could be anything, just a reflection, an insight, something you've decided you're going to do in your business. Strategy needs to be your focus. It's good. Oh, strategy again, Johnny.
Yeah.
Got that point across then, that's good.
Yeah.
Before I do the Q&A session, I'll just take you a couple of minutes about how I could help you as well. I talked about it earlier, but basically everybody who comes on the workshops, I tend to offer 2 spots per workshop, a 1-hour growth strategy call with me. So all you need to do is type in chat that you're interested, just type yes in chat, and I will get in touch with you after the workshop. And I'll basically go through in that your specific business goals, any challenges you face, the gaps and opportunities you have, and the timescales that you're looking to achieve your growth as well. What I try and do in these hours is make it one of the most valuable hours that you've spent, and you'll leave it with a clear roadmap of what you want to do next. So both of you said yes. That's a good sign then. Thank you. And as I say, seeing there's only 2 of you on, then 2 spots is quite easy to fill. I usually aim for 10 people on these, so there should be a bit more urgency with 2 spots. So 2 with 2 is not quite the same. So yeah, I'll happily, I mean, Johnny, we had an initial chat the other day anyway, and Richard, you know me, so you can both, you know, I'm happy to have some more time with both of you, and just keep things moving. Certainly on the strategy side, you both indicated that's where you want to get started. So, and then the other thing, have you both done my scorecard yet?
Not yet, no.
I don't think I have.
Johnny, you were on KPI with me.
Yeah. I'm sure maybe I did actually. No, I don't think I did your scorecard.
Okay, well, you can scan that QR code, or I'm going to put in chat.
Got it.
Yeah, I'll put in chat the. No, I haven't copied it out.
Yeah, no, I haven't done this one yet.
Yeah, so yeah, if you can scan that, or as I say, I'd usually paste the link into the chat as well for people, but I think scanning that's probably the easiest. So if you go do the scorecard, that'll, again, it's self-diagnostic, so it's going to look at the 5 areas of steps and where you are at the moment in your business, and then it gives you a report on the next steps to take as well. So it takes about 5 minutes to complete, so it's quite a straightforward self-diagnostic tool that I've developed as well. Okay, so any questions? I'm going to stop sharing the screen there.
Yeah, it's also a question. I think it's probably something we can bring out in the strategy discussion, Richard. I think that the opportunity that Declaration's got, our strength and uniqueness is almost a barrier to growth, because you know that is stopping me doing the hands-on stuff. You know, it's people engage with Declaration because of Richard Warrilow.
Yeah, and that's a decision you've got to make, really, because I think you've already decided that you don't want to be much bigger as far as employing people is concerned. There's you and Mandy doing the work, aren't you? So.
Yeah, so it needs to. I am still interested in it. We did try recruiting a few years ago. I think the need for recruitment was obvious at the time, but I think the strategy was wrong in terms of who we recruited. Yeah, and possibly even why.
And maybe the processes weren't there either. So, you know, teaching people what you do is it's hard, because a lot of it is experience you bring to it. But there are, around what you do at the core writing stage, there are other tasks that I know Mandy does and other people could do that could make your life easier. So I think that, you know, when it's very much your knowledge that people are buying. But as I say, the downside of it being Richard Warrilow they want to work with all the time is you're never off duty, are you? So
that's exactly it. Yes, it is. And you know, the clients, when we did have the graduates, you know, they said, well, you know, we engaged with Declaration because of your background as an engineer and a journalist.
Yeah.
You know, we want you.
Yeah, and that's what you've got to assess in your strategy, I think, is this is where we want to build our business to. And a lifestyle business to you may not look like 7 figures. It may look like $500,000 a year for the 2 of you running it, and you still get lots of time off and things to do. You know, that's, everyone has their own sort of view of what their lifestyle business is going to look like. And you know, like me, I don't want to have a business of 40 people anymore. I'm quite happy with the way I do things now. But Johnny may think, well, do you know what? I'd like 10 people so I can kick back and go drink cocktails on the beach somewhere, and my business will run itself.
You read my mind pretty much. I mean, I think, I mean, I'm in a really similar situation to you, Richard, that, you know, I deliver good work. It's built off a strong base and a broad base of experience and expertise, which is difficult. Well, which I think today is difficult to hire for and difficult to teach.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, what I need to do really, because I do have an interest and an aptitude for the technical stuff, but you know, I've kind of made the decision that, you know, the business needs to grow. I know I need to hire, and therefore I need to figure out how to teach it, or how to systematize some of it. And how to you know, basically sort of draw me out from some of the delivery. And that still means, you know, my business has got my name in the title. It's likely I'll be involved in the delivery at least for you know, some time. You need to be
that key person of influence that people come to. You attract the work because of you.
I mean, today, much of the work that comes in is because I build a relationship with them first, with the client first on a smaller bit of work, and then, you know, it grows. And there's nothing to say, you know, and all the clients I have today, funnily enough, you know, would be quite happy. I've had very frank conversations with them about, you know, I'm looking to grow. That might mean I'm around less. However, I could bring in another person under my oversight, and they're very happy with that. Actually, because they know that I'm still there. They know that the core values and the sort of the method. So I think it is possible, but and you know that it won't be 100% of what you can do, but it means that you remove that, you know, like you, I'm kind of like, you know, short of time, you know, there can be lots of stress. So you want to remove yourself as the bottleneck and as being a sort of a point of contention. So yeah. No,
Well, maybe that's what your strategy work looks like for this next 12 months, is how those first few hires are going to have to look, and then processing out what work they do and what that's going to relieve from you. You know,
yeah, I think that's a major question. Yeah,
I think that's probably what your first year is going to look like. Really, it might not be revenue driven. It might be, well, you know, we can get to this revenue, but if I burn myself out, that's pointless. I need to actually get a couple of really good people around me, and this is what they've got to look like, you know. And then you build a culture to attract those sort of people, you know. So fabulous. Well, thanks for your time, you two. Hopefully you enjoyed all of that.
It's been very good, thank you.
That was really good, Richard. Thank you.
Take away that it's enjoyable, and you can do it. You know, both of you can do it, but it's just what it looks like to you. You know, no one has the same view of what their business growth is going to look like. So it's going to stop. Let me stop recording.